Howdy folks, TJ here. I'm going to come out and say it. Are you a Speccy Next hoarder? A nicer way to say it is, are you a Sinclair or a Speccy Next completionist? A little bit of difference. In the same family, that you've got a completionist and then you've got a hoarder. When I think of hoarder, I think of you open the door, stuff pours out of the cabinets, whatever door you open, because they're just shoving stuff in there. And if you say, oh, do you own this copy of this game? Oh, sure. Now, where is it? They have no idea. It's in the rummage of stuff, where a completionist is a bit more organized. You basically, do you have this game? And they're all in alphabetical order up on the thing, and yes, they've got it. And they're completionists, so they've got to have every game that comes out, every application. From the day that the Next was born, they're sitting there on the internets. They go to bed thinking Speccy Next. They wake up thinking Speccy Next. What new game is coming out? Is there a physical version? You know, we love, us completionists, we love those physical versions of things because we got to buy it. We got to be complete. I'm a little bit of a completionist, but not in terms of the Speccy Next. I'm a completionist where on Facebook or any type of thing that has check marks next to things, if I've finished it, I've got to check it. And if there's a list of 10 things that I've done, I've got to go into each one and check that I've done it. That's where I'm a completionist. In other areas, I'm not so much. I'm a procrastinator. I'm very good at that. But let's talk about why did I come up with this thought this morning? A hoarder, a completionist, is because recently in the Speccy Next Facebook group, I don't even know how many, I got this whisker pissing me off. A well-known Speccy Next person put up that they're selling all their physical Next games and software. And when I saw that, I thought is it April Fool's? No, it wasn't April Fool's. They were telling the truth. And they've told the truth because now technically, I guess everything has been sold. And when I first saw it, I go, I'm a little sad because as we get into a hobby, there's rock stars that you kind of follow. And if that rock star kind of falls off, you kind of think, is this the end? Is it over? It's not. There's plenty of good things to go. But I started thinking, okay, well, let's take me, for example. I've been into this Speccy Sinclair hobby for a little bit now. Around 2017, when I learned about the Next, I started following it. But I really dove in late 2018, early 2019, when I started buying Speccy stuff to learn about it. And as I've been purchasing things, there's a little completionist in some areas that I've been striving to be, but in game collection, I had thought, okay, there's no way in hell that I'm going to try to collect every Speccy game, because every Speccy, there's like 20 some odd thousand games out there. That would be like being thrown in purgatory. There's no one in the world that I think can collect every single game. But on smaller platforms, like, let's take example, the Aquarius computer in the United States. There was only so many cartridges, or even the Odyssey 2 in the United States. There was only so many, 50 cartridges or whatever made. You got a chance to actually be a completionist on that. But in none of these platforms have I become a completionist or strived to become one. Because I started smartening up. Lack of money also helps. If you don't have the money to buy the stuff, you can't become a completionist. So with the Speccy Next, though, I started saying, I love the Speccy Next. And probably people that watch this channel know that TJ loves the Speccy Next. He's a USA bloke that fell in love with it, and he's been, owns 2 Speccies, and he's been enjoying it. So, he's got to have all of them. I don't. Early on, I started collecting. As soon as games came out, I started collecting, but I was already behind. Early on, there was a few physical games from, what's the name of the one that made Dungeonette? Anyway, there were some early games that came out when the Speccy Next was first starting, some of the very first physical editions. I didn't own those, but I purchased their compilation set, and they also at the same time had an individual, I think, game. So I purchased one of those, and I started collecting, right? And then as I started collecting, I started quickly seeing There's no way, even with this limited amount coming out, can I keep up with the pace. Monetarily, financially, that's the same thing. I just couldn't do it. So early on, I kind of said, okay, you got to call it. There's certain key things that you want because you like them and you just, or you want to support that particular person, whatever it is, but you cannot collect everything. So I don't. I would have to count, and I've done a video before. I'm guessing I own maybe 10 to 12, maybe 13 physicals of Speccy Next specific things, and there's a whole lot more than that. So I don't own most of them, and there's some that, for example, recently the TX 1696, originally that came out like a year ago, and I kind of said, I got to draw the line. I can't afford it because at the time, it was about a $50, I think, game, and then plus shipping, I forget if it came to like 60 some odd dollars, and I kind of said, you know what, I can't do it. But then a year later came around, and I happened to have some chump change available, so I did it. So it took me a while. So there's certain things that I'm kind of saying, okay, collect when you can. When you can't, you just got to draw the line and say you can't do it. So when this ad came up in the Facebook groups, I kind of, this is a little sad. Is the next story starting to end already? We're not 10 years in yet. 2017 is when the next story, if you want to call it, officially started, because they had that board, the original board without a case, right? I think that came out in 2017. That's when the story came. So we're at 2025. In another year and a half, 2 years, we're going to be 10 years old. Are we at the ending line? Are things going to start simmering down? Are people of old going to start bailing out? Whatever it is, and they're not bailing out, but they're leaving or dwindling their availability in that platform or whatever it is. You don't see their name as much, and you start thinking, okay, times are changing. It's 10 years in. What's happening? So I started thinking, and I'm not a doctor. Don't come to me as a shrink, but I think it's important for you to have other hobbies. Don't just do one. If all you do is computers, 8-bit and 16-bit, whatever, is that all you do? I think you're kind of going to dead end yourself, because after a while, you're going to need to come up from air. And if you don't have another hobby to fall back on, you're going to start, I don't know, I think it's unhealthy. You need to get out of the house. You need to go fishing. For my case, I go fly fishing. Go fishing. Go bike riding. Go day packing. Do something of the physical size. I'm a portly man, so if I didn't at least get out and fish once in a while, I'd be even more portly. So do something opposite than the computing 8-bit hoarding collecting side. Get out and do something completely different. Pick up bow and arrow. My wife and I took a couple lessons. That was fun. Take yourself out of your comfort zone and learn something. Again, I'm not a shrink. Don't hold me accountable. Do it at your own risk, but get out and do something different. Maybe it doesn't need to be dangerous different, but go out, instead of being computers, go out and I'm going to throw this one out there. Listen to records, buy vinyl, find something else that you can hoard. It's at least different, and it puts you on a different path, a different rabbit hole to explore, and so you're not only doing one, because I think if all you do is one, you're going to start getting burnt out on it. In the past, I've kind of said, I don't know if this is going to be my last YouTube video. I've never really said it that way, but I kind of said, I need a break. I need a break. And it normally comes in the summertime when I get my fishing on. And this is the time where I typically take off, and I'm not going to do much computing, so you may not see me for a month. Last year, I actually was kind of gone for almost 2 months. My mom came to visit, and I kind of said, okay, with her here, I don't think I'm going to be able to do much of any videos, and I'm going to be entertaining and having fun and all that fun stuff. So there was a good 2-month reprieve from playing with computer stuff. Even though I played with it still, I didn't have to worry about this video thing looking at me. It's a hobby, and I like making videos, but it's a hell of a lot of work. So every time I say, okay, well, if I'm going to spark this up, I might as well bring other people along, and that means more work for me. So you get burnt out, and so I think it's good to kind of say, okay, get away from it for a little while. Don't immediately put your stuff up for sale, because you may kick yourself in the keister later for selling everything. So don't do that quite yet. Go off and take a month or two sabbatical. Go off and take a trip. Go off and do fishing. Go off and roller skate. I don't care. Cotton candy making, cooking. Make yourself fatter. See, I'm not a good shrink. I'm going to make you unhealthy. So again, this is for comedy. This is for entertainment value. Don't take any of this for really a doctor. Dr. TJ here. Imagine if I came in and I was your doctor, you'd be all, holy shit, I'm going to die. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is if you're a hoarder, clean up a little bit. I'm not a hoarder. I definitely, when my mom comes over, she'll look and she'll go, you got a lot of stuff. She said that about 90 times while she was here. And I go, I know, but I love computers. And I've got another friend, Mikey. I won't say his last name, but he's very similar to me. Every day we're scoping out on the IRC saying, what are we going to, I'm buying this and I'm going to set this up. And it's normally to do with our computer stuff. And we're very Tetris-y. So I've got this big computer here. I've got a monitor here. I've got a monitor there. I've got a monitor there. I've got a Mac Pro there. I've got a Mac Pro here. I've got another This whole room is full of computers. It's kind of organized, but behind the camera, there's some disorganization as well. So I kind of, I'm Tetris-y. I'm a bit organized, but a bit disorganized. And I'm not a completionist because I can't afford it. And I've got too many hobbies to become a completionist. So that other hobby, I said, go off and listen to records. So lately, one of the things that came with my 8-bit, I bought that TX 1696 record album complete ultimate set. And I played a record for the first time in decades. Unfortunately, my record player didn't work. I fixed it, and it really didn't fix it. So what did I do? I went out and bought a really nice, well, in my opinion, Audio-Technica, which I haven't done a video on, but I bought a nice new turntable that I got all my records out of the attic. My wife and I had a nice little collection she had a lot of Duran Duran. I had Boston and Def Leppard. It was fun thumbing through things that we saved that I fortunately did not get rid of from my youth. I got rid of my Ataris, dumbass. But I kept the records. So I at least kept something. So now we've been on a little bit of what can my wife and I do together? She does not do computers. I do not do her collecting. She's a collector, a completionist. Not really, but she buys a lot of things like I do. We've got our hobbies. But what can we do together? We both like music. And I thought, why don't we start since vinyl's kind of come back in a way, maybe a fun way is to have a nice turntable. I need to now buy some nice speakers and a tube amplifier. Let's not go there. There's a rabbit hole. Another rabbit hole. Anyway, we can go to small record stores, indie record stores, whatever record stores, and find records that we didn't have in the day that we could buy and enjoy on a turntable. So I have another hobby. So just because the 8-bit, say, instead of selling all your stuff, just get out of 8-bit for a month or two. Peel off and do another hobby. I like laser discs, so my wife and I, more me, collect laser discs once in a while. I've got a nice collection now. I've got a number of laser disc players. I now have a turntable that can play vinyl or records or LPs, whatever you want to call it. So we have a hobby when we go off on vacation, as example. Oh, there's a little record store there. Let's go into the record store and buy, at least each of us buy a record to bring home. Put yourself in a different frame of mind to get away from that thing you've been doing for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, because then maybe you'll find yourself saying, okay, I'm not collecting physical anymore. I'm getting rid of it. And then you get rid of it all, and you're probably going to be fine. You'll probably go, okay, this was the best thing I ever did. Now I'm doing underwater BB stacking, and you're happy doing it. So you don't have to worry about collecting Speccy Next stuff anymore. But before you do that, go off and find another hobby, dive into it, enjoy it, and then see if you can come back a month or two later going, I found a new feeling. Am I getting my mojo back on playing with the Speccy Next or the Sinclair or the Atari or whatever it is? Disperse yourself around. Don't just hone in on one thing and one thing only. Make sure it's not money. Make sure it's not you have to buy something. Even though the hunt is fun, it's just a different form of hunting. We're hunting that rare cartridge, that whatever it is. And it is a lot of fun, but If you're buying it, you better damn use it. If you're only buying it to collect it, that's when you are a hoarder or a completionist, because you're not playing it. It makes no sense to just stick it up on a rack. Everybody's got their own things. I shouldn't dish it, but in my opinion, if you don't play with that thing at least once in a year, it's probably you're a hoarder completionist, because you gotta play it. You just can't sit there and look up at it in a rack. I watch some other YouTube channels, and behind them are these beautiful racks full of all these games in alphabetical order. Those are my completionist friends, because they've got them all labeled, all nice and orderly. Then you have kind of like me, where I don't want to show you what it is, but I've got just games stacked over there on top of a cabinet of my Speccy Next stuff. I got my 2 boxes. I've got some games that intermixed as Casey Neidall purchased me a fart filter one time as a gift. It was a box. I've got that up there. I've got a few things that I, kind of have as little gifts and mementos up around. But I'm definitely not a completionist, definitely not a hoarder. I can have hoarding tendencies in terms of, like right now over here, you can't see it in the camera, but I've got a lot of stuff that came in. I haven't went through it yet, so I kind of pushed it over there. If you don't want to get there, don't get there. Go out and fly fish, go out and make cotton candy, whatever it is. Find some other hobbies. Make sure they're not ones that you have to always buy. Just get out and go for a walk with your wife, your better half, whatever it is. Go out and do something a little different. Come back a couple months later and look at it and go, do I really need that Falcon? Atari Falcon? Yes. I'm not getting rid of it. Last time I sold mine, I kicked myself in the keister. So there's certain things, step away. Wait a little while and see if you really missed it or not. And if you do, come back to it, enjoy it. And that's it. So are you a hoarder? Are you a completionist? Don't send me the pictures of your hoarding. I don't want to see stuff dumping all over the place. And I see enough completionist stuff where, damn, you son of a bees weasels are all organized. Everything's nice. How do you do it? I don't have the time to do it because I am getting out and fishing and doing some of these other things. So anyway, that's it. That's what I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully you have a wonderful day. Post down below. Are you like me? Are you or are you a completionist? Are you a hoarder? Are you not even collecting? Don't even own an 8-bit yet, but considering it? Whatever it is, post down below. I'd love to chat with you. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.